The difficulties in dealing with Nairobi have been present even during Kidero's time. Reason being, and I'll give an example of the United States, whereas the United States has many states, Washington, D.C. is interesting in that it's under the direct control of the American executive and the American president. Now, that difference is important, but it did not translate into the Kenyan perspective, where the capital city is still under the control of a governor. And I'll tell you where the difficulties come in. Kenyatta National Hospital is a national hospital, and health is a devolved function, but the Kenyatta National Hospital is not under the care of the Nairobi County. Neither can it be, because the budget it requires would simply wipe out the budget allocated to Nairobi County. And therefore, the interests of any governor who sits in Nairobi would have to be in tandem with the administration of the day. And I think this is what Jubilee imagined in trying to capture the seat from Kidero and giving it to Sonko. However, Sonko has proven himself not to be a pushover. Sonko has basically determined that he will run the state of affairs of Nairobi as he sees fit, which will always run into trouble with the executive, because the executive cannot let go of Nairobi, bearing in mind that 60% of the GDP is controlled from here. The biggest university is here. The central bank is here. Every ministry is headquartered here. So the central government cannot not play a role in Nairobi. Now, this is a result of both the character of Sonko and his populist way of doing politics, but it's also a result of the nascent nature of our county governments, because they've not gotten their own identity as yet. And for Nairobi, that journey is longer. It's easier in Mandera, because in Mandera, they did not have that anyway. So in Mandera, you'll see the governors have taken off faster in Turkana, in all these far-flung regions, including Bungoma, than they would in a place like Nairobi, where the state already had all its functionality anyway. So that's one side. The second side is Sonko's natural character. Sonko is struggling, transitioning from being a populist politician, from being a defender of the people, to sometimes becoming the disciplinarian of the same people that he used to take care of. And that transition, I think, is being mismanaged by the governor's office. Just as it is for Donald Trump and his wall, so it is with Sonko and his defense of the informal sector. And when you are a senator, a member of parliament, you can afford to do that because you do not wield executive power. You are not the one who needs to make tough decisions. And therefore, Trump, when he was running for office, he could say, we'll build a wall. But when you're president, you realize you need to go through a Senate and a Congress that needs to pass your law to allow you to build a wall, and you need to negotiate and things like that. Similarly for Sonko. Now, Sonko finds himself in a situation where in Westlands there is a market, a proper functioning market that is being built, interesting enough, for the same informal sector. But that means that you have to destroy these vibandas that are on the periphery of this same market. Now, you are the governor. You cannot be your own opposition. You cannot be demonstrate against yourself. And therefore, Sonko, with his populist nature of politics, is finding it troublesome to manage this process, because it has to be done. If you're going to develop Nairobi, you're not going to develop it with the vibandas, because then you'll have a favela instead of a city. But at the same time, to sort of find safety, he's run under the name and the cloud of Kidero to say that my predecessor did this. However, that window is short. He has maximum 6 months left on that window, and then he will have to give account of his own administration. And what he will find, that unless he's very creative and become creative quickly, he will find himself in the same hole Kidero was, being asked, what did you do? And the difficulty of a city like Nairobi is it's already a going concern. So there are very few new roads you're going to do. There's very few infrastructure projects you're going to do. You need to be able to manage the city. And that's where I think Sonko's administration might find itself floundering, because Sonko has not proven himself to be a manager. And populist politicians rarely do that. I don't think the personality differences, if any, would have a huge effect on Nairobi City. And I'll tell you why. Because President Uhuru Kenyatta worked with Kidero, who was in ODM, as we all know. And I don't think it's going to be difficult to work with Sonko, given that both levels of government have specific mandates to execute, which are, as a matter of law, going to happen anyway. And that's the beauty about our current constitutional dispensation, in that there are certain things that will happen whether Sonko goes to sleep for 4 years or he's active for the next 4 years. So that is not going to be difficult. What will be difficult is the programs within which either the national government or the county government needs the support of either to make happen. For example, if the government of Kenya needs the county government of Nairobi to allocate X amount of land for them to do an industrial park, for example, that's the places where it should be difficult. But it won't be difficult for as long as the negotiation puts Sonko's populist agenda at the top of the billing. So as it is right now, I think it's going to hold in terms of there's going to be balances between the two, and I don't think there's going to be anything significant that's going to stop that from happening. The question, however, is that's more poignant is this, that number one, will Sonko survive his own governorship, or will he self-cannibalize his base, because his base still cares about the issues that they cared about, but now he will become the quote-unquote aggressor. That's one. And two, will Sonko be able to reinvent, re-energize himself and make himself into a governor-level politician? We saw him during the campaigns putting on the suit and tie and talking the polished English. That has seemed to drop off a little bit. Will he continue on that level? And those are the questions that are going to remain. And the third question that's going to be critical: are the people of Nairobi going to sit down and decide whether they want a corporate type, business type, plan ahead type of governor, or do they still want the populist type of governor? That question is what's going to be different. And 2022, in terms of the education of the masses, is a long time away, and the masses could awaken quite a bit and realize that it's not handout, it's not fame, it's not looking like you care, but actually the plans and the motion of the government that matter. And that really is the question: will Sonko survive? As far as State House is concerned, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta is on his last term, and Sonko can't stop him. Sonko can't stop the president from doing what he wants to do in terms of his agenda, because the president's agenda overshadows the county government's agenda. So State House, the deputy president, is safe, but Sonko as a governor, Sonko as a politician, has a lot of questions to answer, and there's a lot to be desired as far as he's concerned.